Yo, what's up guys? Rob Shuka from Three-Storm Fitness. I want to talk today about, my camera's totally screwed up, about troubleshooting. Not necessarily a how-to, although every time I say it's not a how-to, it ends up being one. But this is going to be like kind of troubleshooting, finding your right position, etc., kind of working around pain, and the rear foot elevated split squat, also endearingly known as the Bulgarian split squat, or I can't remember the guy's name who made it up. I don't think it's actually even Bulgarian. I don't know how they got the credit for it. Whatever, give it to them. Give it to them. I like their bags, I like their Bulgarian bags, like Bulgarian AK-47s. I probably like split squats too. I love Bulgarian split squats actually. They're fantastic. They're a great butt builder. They can also be great quad builders, although I personally use them mainly more for the posterior chain. Whatever. Again, this is not what Bulgarian split squats are necessarily and why they're great. This is anybody who has had trouble with them before. I'm a trainer. When I used to have people do Bulgarian split squats, you know, maybe they were showing a lot of proficiency in the lunge, walking lunges, reverse lunges, stationary split squats, rear foot elevated split squats, step ups, whatever. Unilateral loaded movement. So I'm like, okay, we'll step up a little to the Bulgarian split squat. And I would just kind of have them, you know, drop down, maybe put like an RX pad underneath their knee or something so they feel comfortable. You got your ankle just kind of chilling back here. And kind of just have them like hop around until they find a nice spot. Maybe try a couple. That doesn't feel quite right. Okay, bring it out a little bit. Okay, yeah, that feels better. Yeah, good. And a lot of you guys have probably done that. That's how I learned how to do them. Even with having weight. This, by the way, is going to be mainly for like a dumbbell or bodyweight version of these. Not necessarily the barbell. That I would approach slightly differently, although the principles still apply. Most of them. I'm going to digress here. I was going to get to this eventually. I'm going to steal Charles Poliquin's thunder on this. Rest in peace. Big up to CP. He was a big fan of having on barbell split squats, have your foot only elevated. A lot of people do this from like a bench, which is usually around 16 inches, give or take. He was a fan of 4 to 6 inches, only 4 to 6 inches up. So maybe like a small stack of 45-pound plates, bumper plates, whatever. Or I got this rigged up in the back of barbell. It's about 6 inches high with a foam roller, PVC core foam roller in the middle to kind of be easy on the ankle. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Evan Davis, one of my clients' husbands. He said he likes doing split squats that way, and it is a pretty nice way to do them. Anyways, 4 to 6 inches up for the barbell version, and I think Poliquin's main reason for that was because, you know, you have the spine. It's a lot easier on the spine when you aren't brought up like this. You don't have that extra flexion. It's hard enough on the spine doing this by itself. You don't need that extra flexion by having that foot all the way up your butt in the back, so to speak. Also, I think that he thought that you could load it more. You know, obviously you can load it more with the barbell because you don't have to worry about your grip. In doing so, you can load it even more, but you don't have to worry quite as much about instability. And generally speaking, the higher up your foot is, the more unstable you are. So we got the barbell talk out of the way. Again, though, you can apply some of these same concepts to doing barbell split squats. It's just going to vary a little bit, especially when I talk about setting up in the position, which, you know, why don't we do that? Why don't we talk about that? So, again, I'm going to assume through all this that you can do a regular lunge. You can do a regular split squat without pain and with proficiency. You're not wobbling all over the place, you know, doing that kind of stuff. You're not like having to ice your knees every time you do them, etc. I'm assuming that you have proficiency and strength and are able to demonstrate proper motor recruitment of your hamstrings, your glutes, and your quads, and your core when doing a unilateral loaded movement like the Bulgarian split squat. So let's just get that out of the way. And let's just start talking about it. A lot of times when people start, maybe they don't have pain when they do a regular lunge, but they have pain maybe when they do the split squat. And a lot of that is probably instability. So let's talk about where you might have your pain. I'm totally winging this, by the way. All over the place. where you have your pain. Well, let's say, somebody say my knee hurts. And half the time, I'll say this, I'll say, well, what knee? The obvious would be the front knee, right? Well, a lot of times it's the back knee. And it's because they're so unstable up here that they're basically like doing like a karate kick in their knee out of it, They're using their back knee. This back knee, rather than forget the back knee, the back leg is really only to act as an anchor point. Just so if you could do this with a single leg, unassisted, completely, down like more of like a pistol squat or whatever, that's not a pistol squat, but a single leg squat, then you could do it, but you couldn't load those very heavy. So, this back leg, all I have to say, is just chill. You completely make it go dead, okay? If you gotta drop it down, if you can't separate that, if you're putting too much stress on the back leg, then you probably need to focus on your core, you need to focus on your breathing, okay? Take a nice deep breath before you go down, lock it in, brace yourself like someone's gonna punch you, and pull yourself down into that front heel. Relax that back leg, just chill, relax. If you still can't do it, lower the surface. We talked about 4 to 6 inches up, whatever. Lower the rear elevation. Troubleshoot that way until it's kind of a mind thing. It's a skill. You gotta wrap your head around it. Go unload it. Don't just start off with like 250s in each hand. Be like, I can't do them. I'm too unstable. Yeah, just ease into it, just like anything. Ease into it, baby. Ease into it. It's all in the hips. Secondly, if it's front knee, let's talk about the front knee. What I would like to do is say, or what I normally do is say, this is for any kind of lunge. Also, one thing about the back leg, you might just be too tight in the hip flexors. Which again, lowering it's going to help. You might be too tight in the hip flexors, so hit a foam roller, kind of loosen up your quads a little bit and your hip flexors, your upper hip flexors, and do like a couch stretch or something. Drive that butt forward, open this stuff up in here, maybe raise your hand, and you can probably sink a little deeper into it. Okay, moving forward to the front knee. Find a spot, put your hands on the floor, like you're gonna start a race. It's like the worst race starting position ever, but find a spot where you're able, on the ground, put your hands, assist yourself, where you're able to drive that heel into the floor. This is not a mid-foot or front foot ball of the feet. If you watch somebody's feet doing this, when they complain of knee pain, front knee pain, a lot of times what they're doing, you can't really see this, sorry my camera sucks, or I suck rather, my positioning, but their heel comes up. And sometimes that's the shoes. You might just need to switch to a flat sole. I'm not even wearing shoes right now. But a lot of time it's because they're either weak, too weak in the hamstrings. That's probably not it because you've already demonstrated the ability to do lunges and loaded lunges and whatnot. But they could be weak, or it could be more commonly they're just unstable, or their foot's not in the right place to start with. So they'll kind of, if this is the heel and this is the front, they'll go down, they're going down, and when they come up, they're sort of rolling up like that, and the knee starts hurting. So, find a position, I'm going to switch legs, find a position where you can really, again, put your hands on the floor, it's cool, where you can really, this back leg's relaxed, drive your heel into the ground, into the floor, drive it into the floor while your hands on the floor, where your knee does not hurt. So find that position, wherever that is. Don't worry about, okay, if I'm 6 inches out, then I'm working my hamstrings more. If I'm back, then I'm working my quads more, all that stuff. It's it is relevant, but right now, let's just get the movement down. Okay, you're driving that heel into the ground hard. Okay, does your knee hurt? Yeah, okay, let's position it a little, maybe bring it out. Usually you're gonna bring it out a little bit. Okay, does the knee hurt now? No, and you're driving the heel into the ground? Yeah, cool. Okay, we're gonna elevate. You don't have to be totally upright like that. You can pep forward a little bit. Put the weight, all the weight into the heel. And this is a little Cal Dietz trick. Bite your toe into the floor, if you can. I'm giving you a lot to think about, but just a little extra. Bite that big toe into the ground, kind of claw on it. That's going to help activate your glutes a little more. At least that's what I've heard. It seems to work for people. If anything, it just helps with foot stability. So then you drive up, you find that position where you can plant force into your heel without causing knee pain, and drive up. Again, this back leg is chilling. Up, and down. And you're kind of pulling yourself down. You're almost doing, this again, it's like, this applies to lunges too, but you're kind of doing like a leg curl. You're doing this sort of movement almost as you're pulling yourself down. You're not just dropping down in and rebounding up. That's a good way to completely jack your knees up, not to mention smack this knee to the floor. You're pulling down, ideally, you're curling this down, and your hamstrings are completely engaged, your glutes are on, and you're driving through that front heel. This back leg's chilling. I know I'm repeating myself, but it bears repeating. Nice, tight, deep breath before you come in. You're gonna lock in. The tighter your core all the way around, 360 degrees, from here down to here, or wherever you want to call it. The tighter this area, the greater your center of gravity, the more power you can deliver, and relevantly speaking, the more balance you have. So, whatever, let's say I found my position, it's right here. Going up, driving to that heel, only that heel, everything, my whole body's in that heel. And you're pulling yourself down, in that heel, come back up, okay? What else might you have a problem with? Let's talk a little bit about working the hamstrings versus working the glutes or whatever. Let me grab a couple dumbbells. So again, I like to, when kettlebells work too, I like to start from the bottom position. Even though I'm pretty comfortable with these, I like to start from the bottom position, especially when I'm working my glutes and hamstrings, because I really like to load it up, make sure that I'm loaded up right over that heel. So the dumbbells are right down this way. And I'm staying in that position, and I'm just gonna lean forward the whole time. And I'm just gonna drive in and and man, it just crushes your glutes. You don't have to be upright. Nothing that says you have to be upright. Generally speaking, the more upright you are, and the more the dumbbells are positioned back, away from your heel, the more it's going to load up your quads. So it's not quite as much about how far away your foot is and how much your knee is going over your toe. I don't personally think that's as relevant as where the weight is placed, because everybody's a little anatomically different, so it's really hard to say exactly whether your knees should travel over your toe, or if you want to work your quads, you should be only such and such far away from the bench. I think that this gets all washed up with people depending on what their anatomical proportions are. I think something that more people can actually work with is where the weight is displaced when they start the movement. So again, if you want to really hammer your glutes and hamstrings, start with the weight. Just start down the bottom, no big deal. You don't have to lower yourself for the first rep. I mean, you're not doing a Bulgarian split contest or something. I mean, this is just, you're just working out, right? Just trying to develop this area. So you start down with the weight, again, it's right over my heel basically, right in line with my heel. And I'm driving through my heel with all the things we talked about before. I'll pull myself down into that heel. And my toe, my knee, even though I'm working my glutes and hamstrings, my knee's almost, I know you can't see it, I apologize. It's almost it's almost past my toe. And my knee's fine. My knee's fine. 1950s physical therapists out there, don't you worry, I'm okay. If you want to work the quads a little more, bring it back. You're still going to work your glutes and hamstrings, but you're working your quads even more, especially on the extension. I saw Jeff, or when you're flexing the quads, contracting the quads. I saw Jeff Cavalier on the Athlete X. He had like a perfect leg workout video, and he was talking about having the weight placed over your heel, bending forward to work your glutes and hamstrings, coming back to work basically everything I just said. I felt very validated. So thanks, Jeff Cavalier. I know you're watching this. I know you subscribe to this channel. If you ever need anything, man, let me know. I'd be happy to help you. But no, I felt pretty good about that conclusion that I thought it was original. Nothing's ever original. But hopefully, guys, I don't know where I was going with all that. there's a million things I could talk about from this exercise. It's actually a great diagnostic kind of exercise. Depending on where you're having a problem, it tells you a lot about where you might be weak. But I think when most people are doing it is because they just want to really develop their legs. Okay, that's about it. I'm trying to think of anything else I can talk about. It's like 15 minutes already. It's all the Bulgarian stuff we need for the day. Okay, if you have questions though, let me know. I'll be happy to, obviously I don't mind talking. Guys, subscribe to this channel if you like this. My name is Rob Shoecraft, 3 Storm Fitness. Have a great day.